is Dick, WB2JPQ, and as usual, I will be doing the East Coast Reflector Teh Net, number 666, 666 tonight on this March 24th. My golly, where has the month gone? I'll be here with Roger, KO4QMM, who will do the second half. Vicky, of course, KEABKY, is always on the keyboard. A couple of quick announcements. Tomorrow night is open mic night on the East Coast Reflector, so 24 hours from now, come join the open mic team. I'm not sure. I think they have River. I don't think. I know they have River, our young lady that does a portion of the youth net is going to be doing a half-hour session tomorrow. I remember seeing that in some emails going by. So certainly come join them tomorrow night. Thursday night is our off night, if you will, and Gil, K4GDS, has the M1KE question and answer period in the Zoom room. So if you have an M1KE and would like to join Gil, K4GDS's study group, if you will, question and answer, whatever you want to call it. I don't think he's really got a name for it. Maybe he does. But come join us in the Zoom room at 8 o'clock on Thursday evening. And, of course, for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure by now, after all these years, most know, but we have so many new people, go to eastcoastreflector.com. There's a tab there that you can click that will take you right into the Zoom room. Our question tonight apparently came from the 3 o'clock coffee clutch in the East Coast Reflector Zoom room at 3:30. Real simple. Do you label your cables? Do you label your cable? How often have we run a cable from point A to point B and we don't know where the heck point A is or what it's on? Especially antenna cables. All those black coaxes look alike. Back in the old days, we used to put one turn around, black tape for some, 2 turns, 3 turns. Electricians, old electricians will remember that. But the modern age, there's beautiful printers that you can buy to label cables. So that's the question. I think it's a good question tonight. We'll have a little bit of fun with it. Do you label your cables? Let me send it up to Kevin, VE3BZ, and see if he has anything tonight for us from the Swap and Shop. Good evening, Kevin.
Well, good evening, Nick, and everyone on the net. This is VE3BZ, Kevin in Victoria Harbor, Ontario. And normally I would have our swap and shop listings at this time, but I don't have any this week again. But if you have anything that you would like to list with us for sale, or looking for something, or just looking to make a trade maybe, just go to eastcoastreflector.com, click on Contact ECR, and then SwapNet submissions, or just email me directly at ve3bz@rogers.com. I'm also good on QRZ. And I guess I'll answer tonight's question. Yes, I do. As an electrician, I'm a stickler for labeling cables and wires. Back to you, Dick, PE3BZ.
Well, that's a good way of putting it. We really all should be sticklers for doing that. Tonight we're going to find out who does and who doesn't. So I'm sure Vicky will get you down here for a yes. I'm so unorganized here tonight. I don't have every screen up in front of me that I need. And Charles tonight. Here comes Gil. Gil just hopped in the Zoom room. Let me send it over to Charles, and I'll see if Gil wants to give a little plug for his M1KE Duwachi on Thursday night. But let me send it over to Charles. I asked Charles a little earlier what he was going to talk on tonight, and he says, going to do a little on wire section of antennas. wire selection of antennas. So over to you, Charles. Good evening, KC6UFM.
Good evening, Dick, and thanks to you and Roger for herding cats tonight, and Vicki, as always, for keeping the log nice and clean and readable. And as far as the question is concerned, absolutely. I have always labeled my cables, and that's a holdover from the Navy days. And of course, today, as I've gotten a little bit older, I have trouble remembering what I had for breakfast this morning, let alone where this cable I put in 3 years ago runs. So I am a fanatic about labeling, and as you say, everyone should be. Alrighty, as far as the topic tonight, I'm going to talk just a little bit about what kind of wire to use for antennas. That's probably the number 2 question that I get from ECR family members in email and even here on the air, with number 1 being a very generic, what antenna should I use? Well, there's a lot more to it than that, but the number 2 question is, can I use this wire for this antenna? And in a nutshell, for most cases, anything you have that conducts will work. With that said, there are some better choices for certain situations. For long dipoles, let's say for 160 meters or 80 meters, you probably should look at some of the so-called copper weld cable.
This morning was that
and
the news about the DMR32.
Somebody want to take that guy off? Anyway, for a long dipole, 80 meters or 160 meters, should look at what is called copper weld, which is a copper-coated steel wire. Very, very strong. It can handle those big runs and with no problems. It's a bit hard to work with, but it gets the job done. It's very reliable, and about the only thing that'll take it out is if a tree actually falls on it. Ice and snow generally don't have much impact on it. Reset. For shorter dipoles, even into 80 meters and higher frequencies, you can just use plain old copper wire for that. Personally, I like a wire called THHN. THHN. That's a variant of MTW, machine tool wire, and it has a very, very tough nylon outer jacket. So you have the conductor, the insulator, and then this nylon outer jacket. Resists abrasion terrifically. So if you're running your antenna through trees, that is a good way to go. It will protect the wire, and it also adds a little bit of strength to it. Now, when you get down to things like quad loops or delta loops, full wave loops, things of that nature, a good choice there is a wire called flex weave, which is a very, very fine stranded copper wire that instead of just being twisted, it is actually woven together. It is very flexible. Think of a shoelace coming out of an old, worn-out pair of shoes that is just as flexible as it can be, and the flex weave does a great job for those full wave loops of different types, and even for dipoles for short runs, say 20 meters and higher frequencies. It does a great job there. The downside to flex weave, it's pretty pricey stuff, and as you can imagine, with it being woven. But again, it's very easy to work with, gets the job done terrifically. Let me reset again. But overall, the choice of wire doesn't matter a whole lot at amateur frequencies and power levels. There is, you do have to consider the ohmic loss through the cable, but as a rule for anything frequencies above 80 meters, that's going to be pretty negligible in practice. Once you get to 40 meters and higher frequencies, it's almost not an issue at all. However, if you go with steel wire, like electric fence wire or something of that nature, the ohmic losses can be an issue. So, use copper. Aluminum is not a good choice because it stretches. I should expand on that a little bit. The cheaper aluminum wire will stretch. The more expensive aluminum wire will stretch. The cheaper stuff is brittle and it will break. So you probably want to avoid aluminum. Stick with copper. Another thing, though, that I have seen a lot of people use with great success is the woven electric fence wire. That's where there are fine wires woven into, I'm not sure if it's nylon or polyethylene or some other plastic. I have heard people, I personally haven't done it, but I have heard people build highly successful wire antennas using that stuff. And it's pretty cheap at Tractor Supply or someplace like that. I suspect Amazon and Walmart both have it, but that is another good option to consider. But again, don't get too wrapped up around the axle with what kind of wire to use. If you've got something setting in the garage or something like that, use it. Because even a poor antenna is better than no antenna at all. Put it up in the air, get on the radio, and start having some fun. You can worry about the details later. So, back over to you, Dick. This is KC6, UFM, back to net control.
Well, thank you, Charles. Very enlightening. There might be some questions that might come from that. But before we start to entertain questions tonight, Gil had popped in here, K4GDS, and I'm going to take a minute and send it over to him. He's going to tell you a little bit about our Thursday night M1KE Zoom Room adventure. Gil, good evening.
Good evening, Dick, and everyone on the brew. This evening, or not this evening, Thursday evening at 8 p.m. in the Zoom room is our East Coast Reflector M1KE peer discussion. It's an opportunity to come out and talk about the device and problems you're having with it, curiosities you have about it, things you like, things you don't, opportunity to ask questions, get questions answered, and maybe answer some questions. Format's very much like Ask an Elmer, Be an Elmer, just focused on the M1KE device. If you're not familiar with the device, I talked about it last week a little bit, but it's basically a handheld all-star node, radioless node. So it has a microphone and a speaker. It also does digital modes like a Pi-Star would do. So come on out and join us. Again, it's Thursday night at 8 p.m. in the Zoom room, of course, Eastern Time, and look forward to seeing a whole bunch of people there. Dick, thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk, and back to you.
Well, thank you, Gil. No, it's a great hour or hour and a half or 2 hours, however long that people want to hang around. 8 o'clock on Thursday evening. Well, it's 14 past the hour. Let's see who we have out there tonight that has an amateur radio-related question. Might be a question for Charles, that something about he just talked about the wire antennas, or anything amateur radio-related. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Net control, this is K4KQT from Bahama. I want to answer the question about the labeling on the wires. I'm OCD, so I label everything.
I'm sorry, the station coming in from Hillsborough, North Carolina. Very, very low audio. I truthfully don't think it's your problem. I think it's a node problem, a repeater problem there. Everybody we seem to hear on there. But did you have an amateur radio-related question? We will be taking general questions as soon as we finish the question and answer here. But did you have an amateur radio-related question, or did you just want to make a comment on labeling cables? If you wanted to make a comment, I would ask you to please stand by until we get done with the amateur radio-related questions. Go ahead. I guess the silence means you're going to wait. Thank you, sir, for holding on for a little bit here, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of comments about labeling cables. I'm not doing so good tonight. Don't make me open our hymnals. Amateur radio-related questions.
KA4JAZ.
You thought we were going to sing, didn't you, huh? Hey, Alton, Midlothian, Virginia, and I still haven't found out that address for you. Good evening. KA4ZAG, my screen just, JAZ, there we go. I can see my screen again. Something just popped up in front of it. Good evening. What's on your mind tonight, Alton?
And Vicky and the other folks that are on here. You know, Charles, the information that you gave was very good. I can remember using the old steel CATV cable that they would run from pole to pole. Then they changed it to fiber optics. They put the cable in the metal yard, and I went and bought a roll of it and used it from the house to my tower. So that was good. But I did have a question concerning the G5RV, which has ladder line. I'm on a second floor balcony, and I posed this question before, but you were not around. But anyway, second floor balcony. The balcony is 25 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 8 foot tall. So I've got the G5RV strung from the top to either side, 25 feet, then comes down, and it folds back inward towards the center. The ladder line is what I was concerned about because it comes down from the top, goes across 4 feet balcony, and then I've got it, of course, tied to the regular RG58 cable. But I cut it. But I was thinking there's a way you can't just fold it over. So that is my basic question. This KA4JAZ.
All right, I remember the question. I know that was the night that Charles wasn't here, and I remember asking you how much do you think ladder line is rolled up before I sent it over to Charles. Did you tell me you had 100 feet and some of it was rolled up? I don't remember what your answer was. I think that's important. How much is rolled up, Alton?
Understood, Dick. Well, it's not rolled up. Where it comes down from the center of the antenna, it comes down about 8 feet. Then it goes another 4 feet across the floor of the balcony. It goes down this way, comes across, So I would say probably less than 16 feet, 15 feet at the most of ladder line before it connects to the RG58 cable.
Oh, okay. I remember the question, and for some strange reason, I thought you had a ton of it rolled up. My apologies. Well, let's see what Charles said. Charles, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Dick. Yeah, Alton. Yeah, it sounds like you actually have the G5RW Junior, and those antennas are very sensitive to the layout because they're kind of a funky design to start with, but they're very sensitive to the layout of the radiating wire and excuse me, and the ladder line. Let me take a break here for a second. Okay, didn't want to be coughing in everyone's ear. Anyway, they're very sensitive. So anything you do, like if you fold the ends back or make a 90-degree turn at one end or the other or both, and then anything you do to the ladder line is going to impact the performance. They're designed really to be put up as flat top with the ladder line coming away at 90 degrees and hanging free. But anything you do to change that will change the performance of the antenna. Without doing a whole lot of heavy-duty modeling, exactly how that is going to change is a little hard to predict. You could do a very complex model and see what it is going to do to it. What I would expect from what you've described, what I would expect is that on several of the bands, your SWR is going to be quite high, and on others, it may look okay out in the center of the band, but when you start getting close to the band edges, it's going to jump up through the roof. But with all that said, Alton, the real bottom line is does it work? If you're able to get out, you're able to make contacts. I would just smile, have a cigar, and call it good. But it's as I said about the wire. Even a compromised antenna is better than no antenna at all. But if your G5RW is working for you in that configuration, I'm not sure I would mess with it too much. You've got a very, very limited space there, and I think trying to make changes to radically improve it, you're going to be kind of an exercise in futility and probably get frustrated. So if it's working, just enjoy it. If it's not working, what I would try is to move that ladder line around. Try to get it, coming away from the antenna at 90 degrees, running down to the floor, making a 90 degree there, perpendicular to the antenna wire, and run that off to your coax and go from there. I think that will mitigate a lot of the issues, but keep in mind any changes to how that antenna was designed are going to impact its performance pretty radically. But get on the air and have some fun with it, Alton. Back over to you, Dick. KC6 UFM, back to net control.
I guess you hit the stop sign in Orlando. Thank you, Charles. And Alton, did that answer your question? And we need you to answer our question tonight, if you would, please. Do you label your cables?
Okay, Dick. Well, to answer the next question, yes, I purchased one 3-4 weeks ago. A small one, connects to the phone. You know, design your label on the phone, then print it out on this little handheld doohickey, and yes, I need to label my cables. I've got so many of them. And yes, Charles' explanation and description played very well. I totally understand. Just real quick, I used the ATOS 120 with a sheet of aluminum screen under it for the ground plane, and it works very well. And then I also used the MFJ high Q loop, which works excellent from this second floor balcony. So thank you very much for the info, Charles, and I'll turn it back to you, Dick. This is KA4JAZ.
We got you down for a yes. Thank you. What will they come up with next? A label maker from your phone? I guess I never heard of that, but I'm sure they're out there. Thank you. Thanks for the answer, and thanks for the question. Thanks to Charles. Who else do we have? Amateur radio related questions. Call signs twice, please.
N5 KEG.
N5 KEG. Looks like Mark from Conroe, Texas. Looks like you're new to the system, Mark. Welcome. What can we do for you this evening?
Well, it's kind of a two-part question. HF tuner, our old MFJ tuner that the switch went bad on that would let you go between the dummy load and the ballon and so on. And not wanting to replace it, I just tried to rewire it. Looking at the schematic has me a little baffled. Now, looking at the inductor part, as I wire that, it appears to me, and looking at schematics, that the roller inductor is actually going between the center lead of the coax and the ground shield of the coax. It's counterproductive to what I would see in a bug catcher antenna, where of course the coil is in series of the antenna. So that's my first part of the question. Is it truly just the roller inductor go between the center lead of the coax and the shield, for practical way of saying it? I know it goes to ground to the case, but the point of that, understanding it. The second part is, how is the capacitor wired in? That looks to me like it's in series. I'm a little bit lost.
Well, Mark, not having a schematic in front of us, I don't think Charles has one either, but I can send it over to him. Just looking here, he's going to try to pull one up. What model MFJ is that?
It's the 989? Yeah, 989C. But it should be basically the same for any HF antenna tuner. Is the roller inductor basically connected between the center lead and the ground, or is it in series?
KC6UFM.
Yeah, Charles, did you want to take that one? I'm going to try to look that up.
Yeah, Dick, I'm a little bit familiar with that tuner, but in any event, yeah, Mark, what I think what you're more familiar with are tuners that are made up of a pi network, and those are wired the way you describe, but the most of the MFJs, including the the 989 are actually T networks. So you have the inductor is effectively in parallel, but then the capacitors are in series, one on either side of the inductor, and that's pretty normal. And just wanted to ask real quickly, or throw out there as a suggestion. I know that MFJ still has some parts around, so I don't know if you're putting in a brand new switch, trying to cobble something in, or if you got one of those and you're replacing it with an OEM switch. But if you're trying to put something together yourself, you might want to reach out to MFJ, see if they have any of the actual OEM switches left in their inventory that they're trying to get rid of. Might even be willing to make a deal. So back over to you, Dick, KC6UFM, back to net control.
I guess buy spare parts now is what Charles is saying. Thank you, Charles. And Mark, did that answer your question? And our question for everybody tonight is going to be, or is, do you label your cables?
Yeah, I answered the question. Just to throw it back at me, don't need an answer, but I was making it into a single-use tuner to use in my mobile, so I no longer needed the balun and all the rest of the switches. I just needed to hook up the two capacitors in the inductor, and that's the way it was going to roll. But anyway, yeah, I did answer the question, and no, I do not label my cables. I am just constantly moving things around, and about the only thing I could put on my cables is radio. Over.
Radio. All right. That's a good answer. Thanks, Mark. You will be receiving a welcome package. I'm not sure what we're calling it anymore. It used to be a welcome letter, but it's grown, and I'm calling it a bundle or a package. I'll have to ask Vicki what she's calling it, but thank you for being there. You should be receiving that. Looks like you have a current email address. All right, who else do we have tonight? New stations, or not new stations, but stations with a question.
Audio level is just about right.
KJ5 Evelyn should be receiving that. Looks like you have a current email address. All right, who else do we have tonight? New station. Well, thank you for repeating my call for stations with questions. Call signs twice, please. Oh boy. Might have to get the hymnals out and turn them to page 706. Stations with amateur radio related questions. Wow, what did we do to everybody? Nobody's got amateur radio related questions tonight. That's pretty sad. Last call for stations with amateur radio related questions. Here on the Tech Net, coming up on our 13-year anniversary. Every single Tuesday night for 13 years has been TechNet has been going on. So last call, amateur radio related questions.
KA4JAZ, recheck.
Boy, you saved me. I was just going to announce what verses on 706 we were going to sing. Go ahead.
you, Dick. Question is, cat cable in an RF environment, from my laptop, from my Node. I've got, like, I don't know, too many computers here. But Cat 7, Cat 6, what would be recommended?
Again, we'll put that either to Charles or out to the group. You've got too much going on there, it sounds like.
KC6 UFM.
KR4 KDQ.
Go ahead, Charles. I'll pick the KR4 up in a minute.
Alrighty, thank you, Dick. Yeah, Alton, in my experience, most UTP unshielded twisted pair, like Category 5, 6, 7, and off-the-shelf stuff, leaks like a sieve as far as RF is concerned, and also picks up everything. However, I'm not sure about Cat 5 or 5E, but starting at Cat 6, you can get shielded twisted pair, and that helps tremendously. I don't know, it's been 6-8 years ago, I guess, that I redid my home network here, and I replaced everything with shielded twisted pair. Just happened to be Category 7 that I used. And the connectors are a little more difficult to put on, yes, but and it's a little more expensive, yes, but it solved all of my RF interference problems in both directions. So, but just standard unshielded twisted pair category cable, in my experience, it's a big antenna, and it works pretty well, both transmit and receive. So back over to you, Dick, KC6 UFM, back to net control.
Thank you again. Charles? How about that answer your question, Alton?
Yes, it did. It just gave me confidence because I've only got 2 HF radios, but then I've got the Signal Link, the Node, too many computers. That's the problem. Too many computers. Yes, it answered my question. Thank you very much, Charles. Back to you, Net Control. This is KA4JAZ.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And there was a KR4. Was it DUT or something like that? You kind of faded off at the end. The KR4 that had a comment. Go ahead, please.
KR4 is my call. KR4 KDQ. I just got my Vanity today, which is KR4 MWW from the FCC, but it's not updating in QRZ. But I was just going to add, I have a million questions on my brand new man. Actually, like literally a million. But to answer that guy's question, the difference between Cat 5, Cat 5E, Cat 6, and Cat 7, you're absolutely correct. You're 100% shielded. The only difference
I'm not sure if you stood by or not. The KR4, we're not. You're a little noisy, but your signal to your audio is so far down. It sounds like you're about at arm's length away from the radio you're talking on. By the fading, I would guess an HT. Put it right up to your mouth and talk right across that, and I'll bet you will be able to hear some audio. But the signal to noise ratio is about equal. So you need to talk a little louder or get the mic or something up. It doesn't sound like you're talking into the radio. Go ahead.
Roger that. I'm going to go out to my my mobile unit in my vehicle real quick right here.
You're fine now. Well, you get in the mobile, but now that you're talking into the radio, we can hear you.
All right, I just jumped in my truck. Again, this is KR4KDQ. I don't know what you heard and what you didn't, but KR4KDQ. Actually got my vanity call sign today from Universal Licensing, so it's KR4MWW, Kilo Romeo 4, Mike Whiskey Whiskey. And I was going to comment on that other gentleman's. I'm a long-time IT guy, and you're 100% right with the stats. So I was going to with the shielded cable, and the only other difference between Cat 5, Cat 5e, Cat 6, Cat 7, I think it even goes up from there these days, is speed. So if you're worried about speed, but anything Cat 6 shielded, Cat 7 shielded will do you wonderful. And as a brand new ham, I have an absolute million questions, and I do appreciate this net. I've been listening for a couple weeks. I don't know what to ask yet because I don't have a home setup. I just have a mobile unit in my truck.
Well, good, Mark. KR4MWW is what we got you logged in here. Looks like, well, doesn't look like you are brand new to the East Coast Reflector, so you're welcome. Good to have you on board. And like I said earlier, we're here every week. We've been here for, I think June 6th will be 13 years. So we're pretty proud of that record. There's not too many tech nets that have run consecutively for 13 years on a VoIP system. Who else do I have? Stations with amateur radio related questions. 42 past the hour.
And 5 KEG with another quick comment.
All right, Mark, and you are a quick keyer. We missed the prefix, but N5KEG. Go ahead.
Gotcha on the key. My interest was on the CAT cable. The reason I have a little bit of knowledge is I have the ICOM 7100, which has the remote head and the main body with the CAT cable. As I'm looking here on my computer, I see that Cat 7 has the metal ends on them, whereas the Cat 6 does not appear to. And like my ICOM, the place where it goes into the radio is also metal encased, so that shield is truly grounded. I'm not sure the Cat 6 you would have the shield truly grounded, or if the computer does not have a setup for grounding it, it would be possible to probably hook a grounding wire to that metal shield and have it truly grounded. Just my 2 cents worth. N5 KG, thank you.
All right, Mark, thank you. I'd be very careful of ground loops, but I know I had a 706. Was it a 70? No, not the 706. It was an older ICOM, UHF, VHF, and ICOM wanted $1 million for the extension cable, and it was nothing but an RJ45. I just threw a cable in, ran it, just ran it for years in my car, and never ever had a problem. But there was something with that radio too about about a ground. I don't remember exactly what the model number was. Detachable head. Oh no, not detachable. The head was detached. It had to be. You could not attach it to the body of the radio. But there was something there about a ground that was super important with that. No, I'm wrong. That was a 706. No, that is a 706. There's something about the 706 and grounding the cable, but that's neither the question here or there. So anyway, thank you, Mark, and you'll be able to come back in a year and say, you know what, I should have learned from the very first TechNet that I checked into. I should have started labeling my cables. I hope you do. All right, who else do we have? Stations with related questions. Well, Roger, I guess we didn't do very good tonight on questions. I don't know what's going on here, but we'll hear anyway. We'll have a little fun with you tonight, and have a little fun with this question. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to turn it over to Roger, and he will take 10 text check-ins. Why do I always have trouble with that? Say that 3 times real quick. 10 text check-ins, and then he will take radio check-ins. So, good evening, Roger. This is WB2JPQ.
Thanks, Dick. Yeah, every night can't be a wild, exciting night, I guess. We'll take her easy and see what happens. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's East Coast Reflector Tuesday Night Tech Net. I'll be your net controller for the rest of the evening, and we got an easy question tonight. Do you label your cables? So that'll give you guys a reason to knock the dust off your PTT switch and join us this evening. So we'll start at the bottom of the text list here. We'll go through those guys. Then we'll call in some mobile and general check-ins. So stand by. All right, bottom up. K7 FPS Fred, Reno, Nevada. W2RBC Randy, West Seneca, New York. N5 RTC Terry, Austin, Texas. NOXRG Ron, Baytown, Texas. KK4 DUT Felix, Coleman, Alabama. N1 KYO Nick, Eastlift Terrace, New York. K6 AAN Mike, Valley Springs, California. KK4 SED Les, Claremont, Florida. WA2UUS Joel, Buffalo, New York. And top of the list, KD2JPP Bob, Gallatin, Tennessee. Good evening, Bob. Label your cables. And this is KO4QMM Roger in Central Florida. Good evening, Bob.
Hey, good evening, Roger. Everybody else on the net tonight. I am a crazy labeler, so I do my TV, I do my sound system. There's labels everywhere. So for tonight's question, put me down for a huge yes. Back to net control.
Thanks for joining us, Bob. And I haven't done that, so I need to label mine. Probably be a good idea. Thanks for joining us. Joel, Buffalo, New York, WA2UUS. Good evening, Joel.
Hey, Roger, and everyone else on the net tonight. I have a Brother text machine that I use to make my labels, and I have them all over the place to identify the different cables to the antennas and everything else, and also notes I put on the top of the deluxe MFJ tuner, and that guides me. Of course, I'm forgetful, I guess. I wish everyone a nice week ahead. Be well and be safe. Thanks, Roger and Vicky.
Thank you. You have a good night there, and appreciate you joining us. KK4 SED. Good evening, Les.
Les here in Claremont, Florida. I have partially labeled. I got one set that I got labeled, and so I don't know about the other set, but got to be careful. KK4 SED, back to net.
Yeah, I label things on my car. I should label some of the wires I got behind here in the shack. I do have a mess. K6AAN, good evening, Mike, Valley Springs, California. Do you label your cables?
Well, hello there, Roger, and good evening to everybody on the net. No, I don't have my cables labeled. The only label back there is the antenna switches. Those are labeled, so I know which way to turn the dial, but not all that complicated back there. I try to keep that stuff to a minimum, so it's not really too bad. Back to you. This is K6AN.
Yeah, I just try to stay out of there altogether. It's been like 4 years, and I had to go back there and hope I don't for much other than labeling. Nick, East Lipton, New York, N1KYO. Good evening. Are you there, Nick? N1KYO. All right. Might have got busy all of a sudden. Felix, Coleman, Alabama, KK4DUT. Good evening, Felix. Do you label your cables? Might be a night, Dick. I didn't know. Did I call for in and outs? Is that what happened? Let's move on to Ron, Baytown, Texas, N0XRG. Are you there, Ron?
Yes, sir. I'll break the slump for you. This is November 0 X-Ray Romeo Golf. So the answer is yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm not a monster. Yeah, I cable. Kind of learned that the hard way, and also in the military, kind of an Army thing taught me that. So yeah, enjoy listening to the questions tonight. You really had some good ones. This is N0XRG. Back to you, sir.
Thanks for joining us, Ron. And let's move on to my buddy Terry, Austin, Texas, N5RTC. How about it, Terry?
Good evening, Roger. Vicky on the logs, Dick, folks in the Zoom room, and everybody on the Tech Net tonight. It's too much of an adventure to troubleshoot, so I've decided to leave all my cables unlabeled. N5 RTC, back to net control.
Give you something to do, huh? Thanks for joining us, Terry. You have a good night. Randy, my 20-meter buddy, West Seneca, New York, W2RBC. Good evening, Randy.
Industrial polyester wraparound labels that I print on my laser printer. I then make wireless so I know where everything goes. Back to net control, 73 to all, W2, RB.
Ooh, the fancy laser printer. Thanks for joining us, Randy. You have a good night. Bottom of the text list here, Fred, Reno, Nevada, K7FPS. Good evening, Fred. Do you label your cables?
Hey, Roger, Vicky, and everyone on the net. I use colored electrical tape. I have 4 antennas on the roof, and so they're labeled going into the junction box through the lightning arresters, and then I've got 4 coming into the house, and those little jumper cables are labeled with the same color electrical tape to the SWR meters, and then, to the radios. I can do whatever I want. So the answer is yes. K7FPS, back to net, and thank you.
Thank you, Fred, for getting in there and joining us this evening. All right, that's the bottom of that list, and I want to thank Vicky, KABKY, for doing some logging there. And she can take a break from playing with her nodes and her Sims cards and do a little bit of logging now. So come one at a time, but keep her busy. QRZ.
Late check-in. Light check in.
N2BH. N2BH.
KK4 FTP, Kilo 4, Foxtrot Tango Paul, Lee in Colorado. I'm going to have to be in and out now, mobile.
0 JMB, November 0 Juliet Mike Bravo, Jason in central Minnesota.
Phil, Alabama, Kevin.
KF6HDJ, KF6HDJ.
Net control, please copy N1WEB. N1WEB.
KR4ICA, KR4ICA. Randy, West Palm Beach.
AP.
N4CGE, N4CGE, Chris, Leesburg, Florida.
Victor Alpha 3, Yankee Bravo Sierra. Victor Alpha 3, Yankee Bravo Sierra. Bill in Dunville.
KE2FLO, KE2FLO.
One EX.
2 CJM. Better hold it right there. That last one with the X. I'm not sure if Vicky got that. You want to come back one more time?
AB1EX. AB1EX.
Right on. Some quick keying going on. Push the button a little bit, give it a second or two, and then call out. We got AB1EX. We got you there. And there was another guy, Kevin. All we heard was Kevin. You want to come back with your call sign? Quick, maybe in and out. Was there a Kevin?
CJM, W2, CJM, in and out.
Yeah, spit it out.
All right, let me grab a hold of it here. All right, button up. We got AV1EX George, Madison, Alabama, W2CJM in and out. Charles, Sells, New York. Have a good evening there, Charles. Mike, KE2FLO, Buffalo, New York. KB0GUF, John, St. Paul, Minnesota. BA3YBS. I think that was VA. Vicky, that might have been. Is that true? VA3YBS, over?
Yep, you got it right, except for the first letter, which is V for Victor.
All right, Mr. Bill, we got you. Dunnville, Ontario, Canada. N4CGE, Chris, Leesburg, Florida. K2AP, Joey, Slip, New York. Yeah, got that one. K4ICA, Randy, Royal Palm Beach, Florida. N1WEB Webb, Colorville, Tennessee. KHDJ, Brent, Pensacola, Florida. And N0GMB, James, Mason City, Iowa. And we had mobile in and out Lee, Thornton, Colorado. KK4FTP. All right, James, Mason City, Iowa, N0GMB. Do you label cables? Over. Are you there, James, N0GMB? Just a kerchunk. Maybe his battery died or something. This is KO4QMM Roger in Central Florida, and if you just happened along, this is the East Coast Reflector Tuesday Night Tech Net here every 8 o'clock Tuesday night, and everybody and anybody's welcome to come and answer the question of the evening. So let's move on to Brent, Pensacola, Florida, KF6HDJ. Good evening, Brent. Oh, I skipped Bill. Sorry about that. Let me go up to Bill. N2BH, Bill from Palmyra, New York.
I thought you forgot me, Roger. Good evening to you, Vicky, everybody. Yes, I do label my cables. I have one of those little portable printers, battery operated. N2BH.
Yeah, she might have said something. I don't have my volume up in the Zoom room, and I kept seeing this box flashing red on the sheet, so she got my attention anyhow. Thanks for joining us, Bill. You have a good evening. KF6HDJ, Brent, Pensacola, Florida. Good evening, Brent.
Well, good evening, everybody on the net. And no, I do not label my cables. That would be way too much organization for me. And if you really want to see me set my hair on fire, put zip ties around my cables. Hi. KF6HDJ.
Yeah, that's always nice when you go to try to move one, huh? Gotta cut that. Then them things are always sharp after you cut them zip ties. So, yep. Have a good evening, Brent. Thanks for joining us. Webb, Collierville, Tennessee, N1WEB. Good evening, Webb.
Thank you, Roger, and thank you, Vicky. Boy, in the context of amateur radio, say no. I label a lot of things, network cables and just about everything else in the house, but I don't label my radio cables, mostly because I guess I know where they're going. So put me down as a no. N1WEB, back to the net.
We got you down for a no, Webb. Thanks for joining us, and you have a great evening. Royal Palm Beach, Florida, KR4CA. Good evening, Randy.
This is Randy, KR4ICA, West Palm Beach. Yes, I label the cable. Long history with Air Force, McDonnell Douglas, you name it. So just kind of ingrained in me to make sure to label everything. It's just cleaner installation, absolutely. Back to net control, and thanks for running this tonight.
Yeah, I bet that saves a lot of time. Thanks for joining us. Joe, Eastlip, New York, K2AP. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, Roger, and good evening to the net. I would have to say yes because I label my antennas, nothing else. But since I label something, I would have to say yes. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. K2AP, back to net.
Thanks, Joe. You have a good evening, too. And I forgot to mention, if anybody would like to look at the log sheet, go to eastcoastreflector.com and hit the menu button up there and hit nets, hit tech net, and it'll bring you eventually in, and you'll see the log sheet, see where you're at. So no problem there. Chris, Leesburg, Florida, N4CGE. Good evening, Chris.
Roger. Everyone on the net. Yes, I do label the cables. I have many cables here from the different radios, and I also learned that from working with doing some government contract work for BOLA. So with that, yeah, that's yes. Good evening to everyone. Have a good evening.
Seems like the thing to do. Have a great evening. Let's move on to Chris, Leesburg, Florida, N4CGE. Oh, I already did. Didn't I just do Chris? Yeah. Bill, Dunsville, Ontario, Canada, VA3YBS. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Roger and Vicki and everybody on the net tonight. I have not labeled my cables for my radios, and probably because I don't have that many cables to label, but I think it's a good idea, and now would be the time when it's not complicated. So I think I'll be borrowing the label maker that my wife keeps up in her office, and I'll get started on that. Anyway, thanks for doing the net. This is VA3YBS.
Thanks for getting in there tonight, Bill, and joining us. Let's move on to John, South Minnesota, KB0GUF. Good evening, John. Do you label your cables?
Good evening, Roger. Thanks for having me. Hi, Vicki on the log. Good evening, everyone on TechNet. KB0GUF. Yes, I label my cables. Thanks for having me, Roger. Have a good night. 7-3. KB0GUF. Clear.
Pleasure's all mine, John. You have a good evening, too. Always good to see you in the Zoom room, too. Mike, Buffalo, New York, KE2FLO. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Roger, Vicki, everyone else on the net tonight. As far as my cables, at this time I do not. I only have a few cables. I kind of got them under control, know which ones are which at the moment. But if everything gets to that point, well, if I have to, I will. And with that, I will say back to you, Net Control. Everyone have a great night. KE2FLO.
Thanks for joining us, Mike. You have a good evening, too. And Charles, we already talked to. And we got George, Madison, Alabama, AB1EX. Good evening, George.
Good evening to the net. As far as ham radio cables, no. But I label the living daylights out of my music synchronized Christmas light show with 50 props all over the house and yard. So yes and no, or no and yes, I guess I should say. Back to net, AB1EX.
Oh, wow. I just picture Chevy Chase trying to label all those wires. Thanks for joining us, and you have a great evening. That's the end of that list. This is KO4QMM, and I got Vicki, VKY, keeping me on the straight and narrow here. She's doing a great job of that. And let me throw out these text check-ins here, and then we'll call some generals and mobiles and in and outs to join in. Stand by. KE0GKF, Jeff, one of our team members here in East Coast Reflector, Bellevue, Nebraska. KD3ATQ, Jim, Houston, PA. N0JMB, Jason, Richmond, Minnesota. W2AJR, Andy, Cheektowaga, New York. WB8, ODF, Dave, Ypsilanti, Michigan. N1NEW, Mike, Pembroke Pines, Florida. N7WZI, Allen, Lubbock, Texas. He's in Oregon right now. KI5PM, Hobbs, New Mexico. Stand by there, Bill. Let me see if we can grab some more mobiles and general check-ins to join you there. Come with your call sign twice and slow.
Zulu Sierra 2 Echo Charlie, Zulu Sierra 2 Echo Charlie.
Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta. Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta.
Whiskey 4.
This
Hotel
is 9
Kilo Lima.
away for
Whiskey
the
4, Hotel Kilo Lima.
9 Yankee 4, Delta X Bertrand.
All right, nice little group there to join in with the text people. 9Y4DX Bertrand, Trinidad, Tobago. W4HKL, Steve, Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. KC3FGD, Ray, Elizabethtown, PA. And we got Ed, Hollandale, Florida. AK6CF. And Tom, Port Elizabeth, Cape, South Africa. ZS2EC. All right, top of the list, Bill Hobbs, New Mexico, KI5PMI. Do you label your cables, Bill?
Good evening, Roger, everybody on the net. No, not right now, I don't. I don't have very many, so I don't. If I had a whole bunch, I would, but right now, no. Hope everybody has a KI5PMI. Back to net.
Thanks, Bill. I don't know when I said my call sign last. KO4QMM. Roger, your net controller for the evening. Alan in Oregon, N7WZI. Good evening, Alan. I bet you label them.
Actually, these days I don't. I have very few cables in my room. In fact, I don't even have an antenna cable going out my window. When I was in the trailer, I had all kinds of cables rolling around, and they were labeled, but, you know, how that is. Got a little small room, and, you know, I've got two computers. I got computer 1 and computer 2, and computer 1's the one I'm controlling my node off of right now.
All right, Alan, that's why I'm not a gambling man. We got you down, and you have a good evening there in Oregon. N1NEW, Mike, Pembroke Pines, Florida. Do you label your cables?
Good evening. Yes, I do, and I label each end of all the cables and wiring, so no matter where I am trying to trace, I know what I'm looking at. I even went as far as to go through my house and every outlet. If you take the faceplate off, inside I've written down what breaker controls, so you don't have to spend a lifetime running back and forth to the service panel to trace it out. Back to net, 73's N1NEW.
Oh, I'm sure the electricians love you, man. That really helps out, I'm sure. Thanks for joining us this evening, Mike. Have a great evening. Dave, Ypsilanti, Michigan, WB8ODF. Good evening, Dave.
Well, good evening, Roger and Vicky doing the heavy lifting in the back room there. This is Dave. I'm in Ypsilanti, Michigan, about 30 miles due west of Detroit. I've tried everything. Colored wire ties, colored duct tape, but electrical tape. I was gifted a Brother P-Touch label maker, and I have gone crazy with this thing. It has already saved me hours of my not having to crawl under the desk and trace each wire that I need to do something with. It's just been a godsend. This is Dave, WB8ODF.
Thanks for sharing that idea with us, Dave. You have a great evening. Let's move on to Andy, Cheektowaga, New York, W2AJR. Good evening, Andy.
Good evening, Roger. Everybody on the net. The answer is yes. Like the previous check-in, I give my brother P Touch a workout. And just a quick tip: if you have test equipment on your bench that you don't want to transmit into, put some red tape around the coax. Ask me how I found that out. Back to you, Roger. 7-3, everybody.
There you go, folks. More tips and tricks. Thanks for joining us, Andy. Jason, Richmond, Minnesota, N0JMB. Good evening, Jason. N0JMB. You there, Jason? Must have had a pizza delivery. Let's move on to Jim, Easton, PA, KD3ATQ. You there, Jim?
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, and the rest of the Tech Net. Yes, I do label cables. Comes from being a network engineer, and you got 100 bundle of gray cable. It's a little difficult to trace each one out, so best to label them up front. Back to you, Roger. KD3.
Thanks, Jim. You have a good evening, too. Jeff, KE0GKF from Bellevue, Nebraska, one of our team members here, net controller. Good evening, Jeff.
Hey, Roger. Hey, Vicky. Doing the log back there. With all my being an audiophile all my life and my love of music, and I just bought a new pair of clips, towers, the roll 100-foot of 12-gauge wires still on the kitchen table here. I've never had to. I guess I know where they go, so I haven't. Being in a band too. After we're done setting up, you've got about 100 to 150 XLR cables by the time you're all done. But I guess those all get moved around. It doesn't matter which goes where, really. But never have labeled the cables. But Roger, Vicky, go have yourself a big old chewy sandwich.
Ooh, sounds good to me, Jeff. Thanks for joining us, and I forgot where I was going to go with that. Oh, well, have a good evening. Tom, Port Elizabeth, South Africa, ZS2EC. Good evening, Tom. Do you label your cables?
Good evening to everybody. A thunderstorm going for the last hour. No, I do not, Roger. I do not. I know where my cables are going. Back to you and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Tom. You have a good evening, too. And Jeff, I remember what it was. My brother taught me about clip horn speakers back in the 70s. And always said the best. I still have a pair here in the house up on the wall mounted, and still like the clips. Thanks for joining us. Brought back some good memories there. Ed, Hollandale, Florida, AK6CF. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening to one and all. AK6CF, yes. And when you brought that up, I realized that a lot of on the antenna cables on the exterior have been fading away, so I'm back to relabeling. AK6CF, good, and thanks to having us with us net.
A little noisy there. Sounds like you're at the barbecue grill grilling about 20 burgers in front of you. So just a little bit of noise there, but not too bad. Ray, Elizabethtown, AC3FGD. Good evening, Ray.
Hey, good evening, Roger, Vicky, everyone on the net. I only have a few cables that keep track of, so I do not label them. Hey, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Back to net.
You always sound good to us, Ray. That's all that matters. Thanks for joining us again. W4HKL Steve, Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. Do you label your cables, Steve?
Absolutely. In the old days, I didn't and regretted it. I just used some cloth athletic tape, the kind like you'd get your ankle wrapped with if you sprained it, and just a Sharpie. Usually it doesn't take much to remind you, which antenna it goes to. That's my secret. Back to net, W4HKL.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, those Sharpies really come in handy. Thanks for joining us. My buddy Bertrand, Trinidad and Tobago, 9Y4DX. How about it, Bertrand? Do you label your...
Well, a pleasant evening to you, Net Control. KO4QMM, Roger. This is 9Y4DX, Bertrand, and my location, you're correct, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Well, let me extend a pleasant evening to all of the stations on the East Coast Reflector Tech Net this Tuesday evening. Hope everyone is doing well and keeping warm. Well, Roger, to tell you the truth, I started off I did some electrical installation, and then I started to do other things which I had to label. But would you believe, when I came to the radio, the conditions under which I came under disaster preparedness, I stopped labeling. I just had a couple radios, one in particular handheld, and then I got a base. And that was it. So I don't think at this time I'm labeling. Put me down for a no. Back to you, Net Control. KO4QMM. This is 9Y4DX.
Thanks for joining us, Bertrand, as you always do, and Vicky got you down for a no. We've gotten to the bottom of the list again. We got Scott, Jamestown, New York, and 7FGP. Good evening, Scott.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, Dick. Do I label my cables? Yeah, I got one of them fancy-dancy little label makers that I can cable labels with. So that's what I use in 7FGP.
Fancy-dancy. Everybody should have one of those label makers. Thanks for joining us. And we got KO4FRR, Joe, Sorrento, Florida. Good evening, Joe. Do you label your cables?
Well, good evening, Roger. This is Joe, KO4FRR. I do have a label maker, but I do not label my cables. I should, probably. That might be a good idea, huh? Talk to you guys later. KO4FR.
Maybe after you get all that other stuff done. Thanks for joining us, Joe. Always good to see you in the Zoom room. That's it. Anybody else who wants to join us this evening for the East Coast Reflector Tuesday night tech? The question of the evening is, do you label your cables? This is KO4QMM, Roger, your net controller in Central Florida. Come with your call sign, twice and slow. We'll take mobiles, generals, in and outs. We're running kind of early tonight, so take your time.
For OSU, not for Ohio State.
Charlie, New York.
K2CMT, K2CMT.
Victor Echo 3, India, Quebec uniform. V3IQU, Regent Brampton.
Is 2UZT, Kilo Delta 2, Uniform Zulu Tango.
Sorry about that. I was sitting there trying to figure out that guy's city there in New York, Massapequa or something like that. Ken, KD2UZT, Ken, VE3IQU, Reg, Brampton, Ontario, Canada, K2CMT, my buddy Mike, neighbor, DeBerry, Florida, Cornwall, New York, KE2FTG, Jerry, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, N4OSU. Looks like it's you, Jerry, Fort Lauderdale. I don't think you said in and out. N4OSU. Good evening, Jerry, and do you label your cables?
One and all, no, I do not. Have you guys ever heard of a signal generator? Works fine for me. N4OSU, we're down.
Thanks for joining us, Jerry. Have a great evening. KE2FTG, Mike, Cornwall, New York. Good evening, Mike.
Hi, Roger, Vicky, and the net. Good evening to everybody. Yeah, I've started labeling things, so I'm a yes. And I don't have one of those nifty Brother P touches, which I want. I'm actually using little paper labels with strings, and I write with a Sharpie on there and tie them on. But, you know, besides antennas, I find it really useful for the different chargers and charger cords. So I use them everywhere, and I need to use some more. So back to you, Roger. 73 to all on the net, KE2FTG.
Yeah, I have used those permanent markers, like silver works really good on black and stuff like that for my spark plug wires and stuff on my car, so it seems to work good for that kind of stuff. K2CMT, Mike DeBerry, Florida, one of our team members here at the East Coast Reflector. Good evening, Mike.
Late, but answer to a question for Vicky is no labels on them. But after seeing Ivan in the Zoom room, seeing a shot of his shack and the cables that he had running wild, I started feeling like I was about the same boat. So I'm going to take. I think Judy said she had a label maker, so I think it's time to get to it. Everyone have a great evening. This is Kilo 2, Charlie Mike Tango, back to KO4 QMM.
I heard that beep, 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 and I was like, oh, no, Mike's not getting into CW now, is he? Boy, that guy's all over the map. Have a good evening there, Mike. Thanks for joining us. VE3IQU, Brampton, Ontario, Canada. Good evening.
And a very good evening to there, Roger. Everybody else around the net tonight. Wife and I are fine. And watching a little TV, playing a little radio, and having fun. As far as the question's concerned, well, I don't label. I don't have enough cables, especially ham radio cables, that I need to worry about labeling. I can remember them. There's not very many of them, like maybe 2 or 3. And I I used to have a label maker when I was working, and it was a really, really good one. But unfortunately, it belonged to the company I worked for. And I don't have it anymore. And I really don't need it. So, toss it back to you, and hope everything's going well. Everyone out there in the net tonight, including you there, Dick, if you're in the background. And we'll catch you down the line, hopefully. So back to you there, Roger, V3IQU, and have a great week, everybody.
You have a good evening there too, Reg, and thanks for joining us. All right, now I want to hear how you pronounce this city there, Ken. KD2UZT. Good evening, and do you label your cables, Ken? Oh, don't leave me hanging, Ken. I got to hear you pronounce that city. Son of a gun, Ken left us. Let's move on. Anybody anywhere like to join us? Come answer the question of the evening. We're not too busy. Come with your call sign, twice and slow.
November 6 Kilo November Echo. November 6 Kilo November Echo. Ken here.
Echo Mike, W2EM.
Kilowatt 5 Alpha Sierra Lima, K5 ASL Charlie.
All right, we might as well make it the last call. Last call to get in on the East Coast Reflector Tuesday night Tech Net question part.
Did you get root mean square, K0RMS?
It was an ABS there, and quiet. You want to come back? I think Vicky got you. Sound like you were in the trunk of your car, but I think we got you KR4 KVL. Is that right?
Correct. Sorry about the poor audio. First time on the air.
W2 Pop Whiskey.
All right, I think you said you're about to pull over or something. All right, I think we got you there. Anybody else want to join us? Got a short list here, and last call of the evening.
November 6th.
W2 PW.
Papa.
Kilo Charlie 3 Foxtrot Golf Delta. Kilo Charlie 3 Foxtrot Golf Delta. Roger, I'll pronounce that name for you. Massapequa. I think that's the one you were looking for.
Oh, thank you for that, Ray. Massapequa. All right, I still can't really say it, but you say it real good there. Thanks, I appreciate that. And we got Chris, Beaumont, Texas, there, WB5ITT. In and out, I do believe you said there, Chris. Have a good evening. And thanks for that, Ray. And Chris, Maryland N6PPP, and Press W2PW, New York, and we got the guy KR4KVL that was, I think Vicky said first time on there. We'll come back to you, see if we can pick you up. K5ASL Charles, Lumberton, Mississippi, W2EM Chuck, Lancaster, New York, N6KNE Ken, Victoriaville, California, and this is Roger, KO4QMM. Good evening, Ken, N6KNE. Do you label your cables, Ken?
Well, for automotive, yeah, maybe. I rely on color coding mostly. For in-home projects now, I just, follow it from one set screw to another. That's how I label my wires. But I used to have a label maker, but it was stolen. Some guy busted up my back window, took it. But no, I would say I probably don't label my wires like I should. And if you again, and this is N6K&E Ken, and I'm actually coming to you from Chinauta, Colombia, just a little outside of Fusagasugá. Talk about hard city names to say.
Yeah, they get too tough. I just kind of skip over it, and I'll say the state and let the person from there say it. Thanks for joining us, Ken. Can't believe they break your window and steal a label maker and didn't even leave you one of those biofangs. Have a good evening. Chuck, Lancaster, New York, W2EM. Good evening, Chuck.
And the rest of the group. Yep, I have a brother, P-Touch, and I got a lot inside and outside and all over the place. And, yep, they're all labeled. I learned the hard way. Years ago, I learned the hard way. You got to get them labeled if you have a lot of wires. Back to net, W2EM.
Thanks for joining us, Chuck. You have a wonderful evening. K5ASL, Charles, Mississippi. Good evening, Charles.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for doing the net. Yeah, I live by chaos. I don't have a labeling system for my cables, and I need one. I mean, I probably went a couple of years thinking I had a bad. Thinking my HF antenna wasn't any good, so I figured out I had a bad antenna switch. But anyway, live and learn. Yeah, I'm gonna get one. But anyway, 73 K5ASL.
It's got me thinking I could label stuff in the house and label out in the garage, and I might get a little crazy with it. Thanks for joining us, Charles. You have a wonderful day there, or evening there in Mississippi. K0RMS, Robert, Iowa. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Robert, K0RMS. I do label some cables. It's mostly Ethernet cables. I just label the ends, so because of the distance, obviously. But I do label power adapters because I have so many of those that sometimes I get them confused what goes with what. K0RMS, back to net.
Thanks, Robert. You have a good evening, too. KR4KVL, are you there, my friend? And do you label your cables?
Good evening to everyone on the net. I apologize for the poor. I have a faulty microphone on my mobile, and I have KR4KVL, super slow.
Really tough to get you there, my friend. When you can get in a better spot, maybe a little closer to the repeater or battery or whatever you got going on, we'll be looking forward to hearing from you. W2PW, Press, New York. Good evening, Press.
Well, good evening, Roger. Thanks for having me. First of all, I'd like to ask if you could try Ken KD2UZT one more time. His transmission was lost to the network, so if you want to circle back to him, I'd appreciate that. My labeling story is this. I don't really label cables, but I love labeling SD cards. I take the label for like the node, and I make a label that has the node number, the port, things like that. Trim it a little bit for width or height, I guess it is, and I make it a tag, like a thing that you can pull it out with, because it works great, especially if you miss the slot and you don't want to miss a slot and have the SD card slip inside the Pi real hard to get out. So that label really comes in handy as a tool. Back to you, W2PW.
Sounds good, Press. Thanks for joining us. And yes, I will go up there. Threaten me with a good time. Ken, KD2UZT. Are you there, my friend?
KD2UZT. Hi, Press. Yeah, I think I'm having a problem with a antenna switch as well. Hopefully, I'm coming through now.
Yes, sir, Ken, we got you. Do you label your cables, Ken?
Yes, I do. It's a habit. After being an electrician, I label as many cables as I can. Back to net.
Glad we got you in there, and thanks for joining us. And thanks for getting them in there, Press. It worked out good. N6PPP, Chris, Maryland. Good evening, Chris. And do you label your cables?
Good evening. I don't actually have enough cables to need to label. I have pretty much all HTs and everything else digitally on Mac Mini. So not that many cables to have to worry about, but I would like to think if I had them, I would. I primarily chimed in just to help out with the pronunciation of the New York city there, but got beat to it. So I got really nothing else to add, so I will throw it back to you, Net Control. This is N6PPP.
All right, Chris, thanks for joining us this evening, and pretty much the last one on the list here. I guess I'll give one more call out because there might be a couple there that wanted to get in. Last call for the East Coast Reflector Tuesday Night Tech Net. Come with your call sign.
Net Control, this is KB2TKN. KB2TKN.
KD5UNJ, Kilo Delta 5, Uniform, November, Juliet.
Whiskey 1, Hotel Alpha Charlie. That is W1 HAC.
All right, we want people to say that Roger was a fair net controller. Whoop, somebody got their W1HAC, Eric, St. Mary's, Georgia. KD5UNJ, Darren, Beaumont, Texas. KR4KVL and and KB2TKN, Juan, Bronx, New York. It's up to you, Juan, Bronx, New York. KB2TKN. Do you label your cables, Juan?
Good evening, Net Control, and good evening to everybody on the net. No, I don't. But I think it's a good idea. And I think I'm going to start labeling my cables. It's a very good idea to keep everything organized. That's about it. 73. Back to you, Net Control.
I agree, Juan, and it looks like you're new here. Check out eastcoastreflector.com if you haven't already. You'll see what we're all about and a lot of different nets and have a lot of fun about that. KR4, KVL, if we got that right. It's, we just talked to him again. You trying again?
Good evening to everyone on the net. One more try at the old dipper there. I do label my cables and apologize for the technical difficulties. First time on the air. That's the net. Thank you. 73 goal.
All right, my friend, we got you in the line. You do label your cables, and it's the first time on the net, and we'll be looking for you on some of the other nets. Thanks for joining us. Darren, Beaumont, Texas, KD5UNJ. Good evening, Darren.
Good evening, everyone on the net. And, yeah, you know, it's kind of weird. I don't label pretty much anything at all, but somehow I kind of know where everything's at. The only thing I have labeled is my two antennas, because I got two antennas up here in my house, and they're both dual banners, so I usually just figure out where I need to put it. And but yeah, I got a couple of labels on them, but other than that, I got my gaming PC right here in front of me, and nothing's labeled on that. But yeah, I usually don't label anything.
Vicky got you down as a no, Darren. Thanks for joining us this evening. And bottom of the list for this week's East Coast Reflector Tuesday Night Tech Net is Eric, St. Mary's, Georgia, W1HAC. How about it, Eric? Do you label your cables?
This is W1HAC Eric in St. Mary's, Georgia, and up to this point I have had no cause to, but after listening to the conversations here as my ham shack progresses, I probably will start labeling the cables just to simplify things when I look at them. You look at the cables and they're going behind the desk or whatnot, and you're wondering, okay, where's that one go? So I think labeling is probably a good idea. W1HAC, Eric in St. Mary's, Georgia. Thank you for having me on. Over.
Well, it wouldn't be no fun on this end, Eric, if you didn't join us and have fun. And on that note, I just want to thank everybody for taking a break from the world for a little while and joining us here on Tuesday evening TechNet night. And really appreciate it. Have a lot of fun. And don't forget, Wednesday night is open mic night, 8 o'clock. Always a lot of fun there. Usually have fun questions, and these questions usually lead people to spending money or making decisions, so you can always count on that. And on behalf of Dick, WB2JPQ, for having such a great system we can play on, and Vicky, K8VKY, keeping everything straight and narrow for the logging, and myself, net controlling. Everybody have a wonderful evening. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Umatilla, Florida, signing off. 7-3.